most people who are dealing with, dang, I'm trying so hard not to eat this week, typically it's going to be chips, non-diet sodas, chocolate, pizza, and ice cream. Those are the top ones, not the only ones. Certain foods, y'all, that loaded in calories, loaded in sugar or carbs and stuff, and every day. Learn your body, right, y'all? Everything doesn't work for everyone. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. But you work out a lot too, Crystal, right? Which is funny because a lot of times when you work out, you gotta be careful with your intake too, though. It doesn't matter, y'all, because your arteries can still get clogged up. I hate to say it like that, but it's the way I talk. You know what I'm saying? You could be healthy as I don't know what, but guess what? If you eating junk, them arteries gonna get a little, unless you get an oil change. Flush it out now. Flush that thing out. So anyway, important considerations. Food addiction is not yet officially recognized, and I say this every time, y'all, it is not officially recognized in the DSM-5, which means the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. Because it's not in the DSM, right? Talk to your doctor. Be honest. You may be ashamed to tell your family member or your friend or whoever that, hey, I'm really struggling with this, because it probably is embarrassing based off of why I even started this page, breaking the stigma around mental health issues and addictions. We're so embarrassed when we can't control our behavior. That's what an addiction looks like, y'all. I can't control this craving, right? I'm embarrassed by that. I don't want nobody to know, because guess what? You got friends who, girl, you need to put that down. People don't know what that feels like. So that's the reason, you guys, that you can talk to your doctor, find somewhere safe, go to a meeting if you have to. Hey, Miss Pooh. Hey, GGT. The usher must have just let everybody in. Hey, Blue Couch. Look at y'all. Come on in, everybody. Addictive eating behaviors, guys. So again, like I said, it's not in the DSM. So I couldn't tell you, okay, if you're doing this 4 times a week out of, right, with depression, I could tell you how the criteria works. But I can't tell you about food addiction, y'all. Again, that's another one that's subjective. These are the most addictive foods, guys. Pizza, chocolate, potato chips, ice cream, French fries, cake, and cheeseburgers. And I laugh when I say cheeseburgers, because y'all, I be on them cheeseburgers like they just be floating around in my head all the time. Like, ooh, why I be like, y'all, I be like on the cartoons, you know, I look at 12/7. You know how the little birds be flying around, and be like, don't you can hear the little birds? I feel sometimes when I get stressed out, I be sitting there thinking about a double patty baconator. It's a reward. Y'all remember last week when we talked about rewarding ourselves? Guess what? You've got to be careful with that. Rumi, think about this. Me and Rumi, we're both recovering, right? I was addicted to alcohol. Guess what, y'all? That's not a good reward. I cannot reward myself with alcohol because I'm sober. You get that? So that's the thing. It defeats the purpose sometimes. That's why we have to be so careful with the level, right, of this craving. It's about education, right, and information. We've got to be so careful with how we present this stuff to people. I think I told y'all when I was in pharmaceuticals, beautiful 16 years, and I remember when I sold medication for diabetes, y'all, I couldn't wait. When I finally got all this information, I went straight to the community that I'm from, because guess what? I could relate. My mom was diagnosed with diabetes when she was 36. My brother was diagnosed when he was 18, unheard of, type 2. Typically, when you're that young, it's typically type 1. So I got to witness something I had never seen before. My brother was obese, and then all of a sudden, frail and thin. And guess what? My brother passed away, y'all, at 25 years old, 2010. And the argument was that he was non-compliant. But guess what else? We found out 2 weeks before he passed away, he had a tumor on his brain that had been there his whole life. Had no idea. So my thing is, I'm looking at all this Blue Couch, and guess what? As soon as I get into this industry, that's the drug that I'm selling. You better believe I went into every black doctor's office that was on my list. Hey, you got new patients? Do you do a new patient class? I would love to come in and talk to your patients. Boom. So every month I'm in there talking to brand new diagnosed patients and explaining to them how to read that label. It ain't the sugar. Y'all know we call it the sugar. So you avoid sugar. No, you need to avoid that white bread. You gotta avoid all that potatoes and all that, right? That turns into sugar.